Welcome to the dansports.tips Barclays Premier League Daily Fantasy Preview Show for the weekend of the 16th of September, 17th of September. Looking at daily fantasy games on DraftKings. Obviously the goal is to construct a roster using our 50,000 budget of a goalkeeper, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, 2 forwards and a utility player. Points are scored like this. For anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to sign up and play Daily Fantasy Sports with DraftKings yet, I'll pop a link in the description for this video that will enable you to do that today. Looking at goalkeepers this week, Kasper Schmeichel of Leicester for 5,600. This is an expensive price, particularly when you take into account the quick turnaround following the midweek European game for Leicester. Not an experience any of the squad are used to. The selection hinges on the clean sheet and the win to bag the 10 bonus points, and statistically Burnley are not a team that generate a lot of shots, reducing save chances for Schmeichel in the fixture. But a home fixture against a light-scoring, newly promoted side is exactly the sort of fixture that the champion should dominate and win. Martin Stekelenburg of Everton, he's 5,400. Everton should also be dominating possession in the main against another newly promoted side in Middlesbrough. Stekelenburg has had a solid season for the Toffees thus far, and while Borough may generate some chances to add to the save count, possession football with solid defensive play is the Koeman way, and a reliance on good forward play from the informed Lukaku. Everton have conceded just 2 goals in their 4 games to this point in the season, with back-to-back clean sheets. The goals have dried up a little bit for Borough, scoring only once in their last 2 games, despite winnable fixtures against lower level teams such as West Brom and Crystal Palace. And finally, Tom Heaton of Burnley for 4,400. If you do fancy that Leicester may struggle as they adjust to the onslaught of midweek travel to European games on the weekend, there are worse keepers to chance than Burnley's excellent stopper Tom Heaton. Burnley set up to be difficult to beat. Only Chelsea scored more than once against Burnley so far this year, and Liverpool failed to find the net. If we exclude the Chelsea game, where Heaton still notched 6 points despite conceding 3 goals, only the stalemate with fellow New Boys Hull was a disappointment for Heaton, and he's secured double-digit points with saves as Burnley soak up the pressure from the opposition. Defensively this week, we'll start with Leighton Baines of Everton for 5,600. Baines is the very definition of the attacking fullback that you look for in daily fantasy sports, who is also involved in set pieces. The crosses haven't been there as much as we would have hoped so far this year, but a home tie against Borough should release Baines to support out wide and gain additional attacking points, while also having a shot at the clean sheet bonus points for the defenders. Alexander Kolarov of Man City for 5,200. Very solid in the midweek game for City against Borussia Mönchengladbach, and a home fixture against Bournemouth could be an open game, as Bournemouth don't often sit back and defend, and they do try to play football against pretty much everyone. This should afford Kolarov the opportunity to both attack down the flank and play the ball into the box, potentially adding to his midweek assist, and also gain some defensive points that aren't often there as much for the big sides when they face the smaller teams in the league. And Curtis Davies of Hull for 3,600 is an outstanding option at this price. He should have a very busy day against Arsenal, and while a clean sheet looks unlikely, Davies generally considered to be the rock at the heart of the Hull's defence, notches plenty of points for tackles and interceptions, while adding the occasional shot on goal when pushed forward for set pieces. Look for more of the same against the Gunners this week. Looking at forward players, midfielders and strikers, Kevin De Bruyne of Man City for 9,700. He can be used in midfield or as a forward. At almost 20% of the budget, there is no doubt De Bruyne is expensive, but few players are worth the cost like the Belgian, who's picked up the slack in the absence of suspended Sergio Aguero. Bournemouth enter this game off the back of their first clean sheet of the season, but keeping West Brom at bay is a different game to keeping Man City out, and De Bruyne will be the architect of what City accomplish in this match, as he was in the last league game with the Manchester Derby, where he notched his first goal of the season. De Bruyne will have plenty of efforts on goal, as well as supplying ball into the box, giving huge upside for goals and assists that can take him into the sort of 30 plus point range against a team that isn't that solid defensively. I'd love to use Iheanacho as well, as he has notched 2 goals in 2 games and has a proven eye for goal, but he doesn't seem to ever get a full game for City, which diminishes his value massively. Dimitri Payet in midfield for West Ham for 9,600 was absolutely sublime in his first full game of the season against Watford last time out. He gave the Hornets plenty of trouble, which can be in part attributed to Watford's struggles adapting to the 3-5-2 formation and defending wide men in that shape. That being said, Payet assisted both goals in the game and was the key to everything the Hammers did. For a cheaper option, you can take the inform Michail Antonio of West Ham for 7,600. He can be used as a midfielder or a forward. He scored both of the goals in the 4-2 defeat to Watford. The wide man has notched 4 goals in 3 games, as well as supplying balls into the box from his wide position in the team. West Ham have defensive struggles. That doesn't affect your midfielders, who will still get efforts on goal against West Brom, who will probably be setting up solidly in opposition in the opening stages of the game. Forward Romelu Lukaku of Everton for 8,600. It is very difficult to get away from Lukaku in a winnable game for Everton. Coming off of the quick-fire hat-trick against lowly Sunderland in their last outing, he's easily the main goal threat in the Everton side. He is in form. He will be popular in lineups this week, I'm sure, but is arguably value at a cost of 8,600. Riyad Mahrez of Leicester for 9,500. He can be deployed as a midfielder or a forward in your lineups. It's impossible not to like Mahrez against Burnley at home, a game that you would imagine Leicester will have most of the ball. Mahrez is involved at set pieces and has demonstrated midweek is deadly with them. Mahrez is probably the closest to last season's title winning form of the Leicester Stars, having taken Bruges apart midweek in the Champions League and opening in his league account against another newly promoted side in Hull on the opening weekend. Raheem Sterling, he can be used in midfield or as a forward. He's only 7,400 for Manchester City. Look, I'm miles away from a Raheem Sterling fanboy, but this price does strike me as awfully cheap at home to Bournemouth. After all, we are less than 3 weeks removed from his 2-goal performance against a West Ham side that cannot defend. Now, Bournemouth may prove to be better defensively than the Hammers, but City will still get their goals and have the lion's share of possession, in my opinion. And with David Silva out as well, Sterling should have plenty of opportunity and bring with it upside. Salomon Rondon of West Brom for 6,500. West Ham are not a very good defensive side. That became apparent during the 4-goal Watford comeback last weekend. Now 7 goals conceded in 2 games, including the Man City game prior to the Watford fiasco. Rondon is the main goal threat for the Baggies. He has pace to burn. The danger is that West Brom do not generally create a lot of chances, though they will do more so in a home tie. Rondon got off the mark the first game of the season against Palace. He's cheap enough at this price for the position to enable paying up elsewhere and is definitely worth a flyer. And Kevin Mirallas of Everton for 5,900. Mirallas has been a consistent performer in the wide role for Everton, has bagged a goal and an assist at this early point in the season, and in a game that Everton should be dominating, will have the opportunity to both find Lukaku in the area from wide positions and also generate chances for himself. I was tempted by Yannick Bolasie as well for Everton, but at the cheaper price, I think Mirallas offers a better chance at returning some value in terms of a price to points ratio and is the more solid play. For those of you that are playing on the full game with the Friday night Liverpool Chelsea game in it as well, we'll have a little game of snog, marry, avoid for your sides if you like. You probably want to be snogging Philippe Coutinho. You want to maybe have some exposure to him against Chelsea. The Liverpool player obviously is the heart and soul of what Liverpool do going forward. For your marry, you got to, if you're playing Friday night, you got to have Diego Costa in your lineup. He's probably the most informed striker in the Premier League at the moment. Bags of goals. Avoid Liverpool defenders. They can't defend. They're no good. They're rubbish. That is what I've got for your lineups today. Please do let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen in the Premier League this weekend, who you think you should be using in your lineups. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at dansports.tips. Please smash the like button on the video, subscribe to my channel, and I will be back next week. See you later.